Hi everyone, this is Joy with Create It with Joy. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. I hope you guys are having a really wonderful day. So today's two cards that I have made are Valentine's cards, and I have used a big letter alphabet die and some stencils for the background. I've used products from Pink Fresh Studio, Simon Says Stamp, Cardstock Warehouse, the Stamp Market. I've used some Nuvo Mousse embellishments, which I've never used before. This was my first time and I really did enjoy it. They really are fun to use. So to start off, I am going to be using some cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse. This is called Razzleberry. And this is a stencil from Simon Says Stamp, which is the Falling Hearts stencil. And I'm using Wendy Vecchi's Make Art Station, and it's magnetic, which is really fantastic for stencils. Even ink blending, there's a little craft sheet, a smaller one that is attached that goes with this plate, with this Make Art Station. So here is the Nuvo Mousse, and this is pink. I think this is Pink Flambe is what it's called. And I was just kind of mixing it around to kind of work it to get a little bit softer. And I'm just going to spread it nice and evenly over my stencil using a palette knife. What I really like about this Nuvo Mousse, if you've never used it, it's kind of has this like shiny metallic look to it. Really super pretty. I was kind of wanting a tone on tone aspect for the backgrounds of these two cards. Look how pretty that turned out. You have a little bit of dimension. I'm just running my finger down the side to get anything that's hanging off of the edges. But isn't that really super pretty? So I'm going to clean up my stuff and then I'm going to go on to my next card. This is a cardstock from the Stamp Market. It's their peach cardstock. And this stencil is Hero Art's Woodgrain stencil. And if you guys totally want to laugh, oh, really quick, the Nuvo Mousse is Coral Calypso. Isn't that a fun name? Now you guys are going to crack up at me because apparently I don't read things. So when I was ordering this stencil, I totally thought it was zebra print. And I still think it could be zebra print. I think you could totally get away with it. But that's what I thought it was. I still love that it's wood grain. It totally works. But yeah, I'm a big dork. So anyways, with this stencil, I have to go sideways because of the nature of the stencil. If you turned the stencil around up and down, you would move up and down to go with it. It's a very fine stencil, but it really turned out so beautiful, and I loved it with this coral and peach. This coral Nuvo Mousse and the peach cardstock totally looks beautiful together. So wait till I pull this up. My gosh, that's when I was like, kind of looks like wood, but I didn't think too much of it, and when I wrote down all my information, I realized it was wood grain. Okay, so now this is from Pink Fresh Studio. This is their Adore Alpha set, and I really do like the size of this die. And also it has an outline and an inner piece, so you can use it with the outline or not with the outline. I am using black licorice cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse, and I'm going to be cutting out XOXO and the word love. Ran that through my Spellbinders Platinum 6 die cut machine. Obviously, any die cut machine you have will work. And then I'm going to take that same black licorice cardstock, and I'm going to use Simon Says Stamp UR background cling stamp, and I'm putting that in my MISTI. This is the rubber stamp, so take out that foam piece in your MISTI before you put this down. And I'm going to stamp this background with Clear Embossing Ink. I did prep it with my anti-static tool first, really getting a good pressure so I can get a good stamped solid image. And then I'm going to use some white embossing powder, and I'm using Ranger's Super Fine White, and then I'm going to heat set that with my heat tool. The reason why I'm doing that is because I want to cut letters out with the words, with these Valentine words on them. So I'm using a white cardstock, and this is Sweet Tooth cardstock from Cardstock Warehouse. Doing the same thing, but I'm going to be using a ultra fine antique gold embossing powder from Simon Says Stamp. So I'm going to put my embossing powder on, and I will ink up both pieces at the same time because, again, I'm going to use those alphabet dies, those letter dies, to cut my words out of this stamped and embossed cardstock. And I'm really glad I did it this way. It really gives that the letters some more character, really. So I'm going to heat that through really good and set that aside. Just kind of let it cool down before I run that through my die cut machine. So I have finally jumped on the wagon for this purple tape, and I absolutely love it. I was using painter's tape forever, and then we had to paint something and I used up all my painter's tape. So I thought I might as well buy this purple tape. So I'm lining up the words, and this I'm making sure that these letters are straight. So that way the words are straight on my die cut letter so it doesn't look all wonky and silly. So run that through my die cut machine, spelling out the word love and spelling out XOXO. Hugs and kisses. So now you can see those popped out, how great those look. And when I die cut out of the black, I will have a black frame, and I also die cut out of a solid white, and I will have a white frame, and you'll see how we'll use that in just a little bit. So I'm using my Spellbinders tool-in-one to pop these letters out, and you can see the separate outline letters for the solid letters. This really is one of my favorite letter die sets. So now that my stenciled backgrounds have dried, I want to add a little bit of dimension with some ink. So on this first Razzleberry cardstock, I am going to be using Simon Says Stamp Doll Pink to add a little bit of color around the edge of the cardstock, leaving the center a little bit lighter. I really do like how that turned out. And I'm going to do the same thing for my other piece of paper, and I am using Distress Oxide ink in Ripe Persimmon. And it really turned out super pretty. I do on this one take a little, some paper towel and gently, in the way that the Nuvo mousse is going, in the grain of it, I guess, and wiping the excess ink off of the edges of the card. But I just love this color especially. I think it's really super pretty. So you could totally give this to a guy and it's not all girly and pink, you know. So now I'm going to stamp my sentiments, and this is from Simon Says Stamp Love Messages, and I'm stamping the word kiss me twice, and then I will trim that out, and I'm going to use Clear Embossing Ink with my Simon Says Stamp Black Ink because I do want these letters to be a little bit shiny. So I'll heat those through, and then I will trim that up with my paper trimmer. And then I'm going to take that black licorice, and I'm going to put the sentiment that says, I love us. And this totally was an accident, you guys. I just lined up my sentiment, not really thinking about it, but because I thought I was going to trim it smaller originally. And it actually ended up working perfect, really. You'll see how it works out, but it couldn't have been more perfect. I'm using white embossing powder, the Ranger Superfine White, and I will heat set that with my tool. My heat tool. I'm using my paintbrush just to get off the little strays that wanted to stay on there, even though I did prep it with my anti-static tool. Now, this die is from Simon Says Stamp. It's called Clipping Heart, and I just wanted some different size hearts, and this was a fast way to get it. This really is a great die, so I'm going to cut that out of black and white cardstock, the black licorice and the sweet tooth cardstock. Both of those are from Cardstock Warehouse. Don't you just love the names? All these companies come up with the greatest names for their inks and their paper. I just love it. So now, excuse me. Now that that is done, I'm going to start adhering my card. So I am taking this peach background. I have trimmed it down quite a bit smaller than an A2 size card base. Attach that to a black piece of cardstock, the licorice cardstock, and then attach that to an A2 size card base. So we've got this two sizes of mats behind this peach cardstock. So here is that sentiment that I was talking about, and I'm using some foam tape behind that to give it some dimension. I'm going to center that in the card, and I'm putting that down first. I originally was going to cut this smaller, but the length of it was perfect. so I can add a heart embellishment. It just turned out really, really good. So the fact that it was off-centered actually turned out nice. I am using that sentiment strip to help me line up my letters. I did forget that I was supposed to be putting the black outline on this. It still turned out good, but right when I was gluing down that E, I'm like, oh my gosh, are you kidding me? But it still turned out fine. So I'm going to put that aside to dry. I am going to glue 2 hearts together. I've got the white heart and the black heart, and put that aside so that can dry. Now I am adding my black outline that we die cut earlier, and I think it really makes all the difference. You could definitely leave it alone and it would still be fun, but I think it makes these letters pop. So I love, love, love how this card turned out, and I think it works very much for a guy. So I'm going to glue down my heart, and I'm using Lawn Fawn's glue tube and just adhering that down. And then I am using some Nuvo crystal drops in Ebony Black and Simply White, and I will also be using White Blizzard. So I'm taking the Ebony Black over the black part of the heart, and then I will be using the Simply White over the white part of the heart. I did want this to be dimensional. Something that I wished I would not have done, I wished that I would not have added the White Blizzard on top. I love White Blizzard, but it kind of gave the black, the glitter in it kind of gave the black kind of a green hint. It still looks fine, but I was kind of going for this contrast, and I just really didn't think about it when I put that on there. So if I had to do it again, I would not add the White Blizzard to the top of this. I would have left it with the black and the white. But it still turned out really, really nice, and I really am quite happy with using my tool-in-one just to kind of clean up any edges that were kind of hanging off of the heart and setting that aside to dry. So now on to the next card. I am going to be putting some foam tape behind the 2 sentiments that say Kiss Me, and I'm going to center those in between the 2 X's and the 2 O's. And then there is, I cut out a bunch of those black and white hearts of different sizes, and I'm going to be putting those in and around the Kiss Me sentiments on this card. I just trimmed this background piece quite a bit smaller than A2 size and attached it to a white A2 size card base. And I like that it kind of has that frame. And I'm just going to glue down all of those black and white hearts. And I'm using the glue tube again for that. I really, really enjoyed making these cards with these big alpha dies. I am using, again, the Ebony Black Nuvo Crystal Drop just on the black hearts. I did not put any Simply White on anything. I didn't use any for the white, just on the black hearts, and I really loved how those turned out. They look like black enamel hearts. Really super cool. Just filling those hearts in, kind of tapping the back of the card just to get the stuff to lay flat. So here is the White Blizzard that I'm adding, covering the whole top of this. It does dry clear, you just have the glitter on it, but like I said, I think had I done it again, I would have left it alone, but still it turned out nice. So here is the first card. Again, that will dry clear. It looks a little milky right now because it is not all the way dry, but look at the dimension from the Nuvo Mousse, and then you've got the embossing on the letters and all the different colors. I really love this card. Same with this next card, the shiny metallic from that pink Flambe Nuvo Mousse. Isn't that so pretty? Super cute cards. Thank you guys so very much for stopping by. I hope that I have inspired you to create something wonderful. Thank you guys for all of your support. If you like what you've seen, please thumbs up, subscribe, please share this with your crafty friends, and please continue to leave me your comments. I love interacting with you guys that way. I do have some affiliate links below. It absolutely costs you nothing to use, but it does continue to help me to keep producing these videos, and I just really enjoy myself, and I want to thank you guys again for your love and support, and I'll be back real soon with another video. Bye.